Welcome, welcome, welcome. It's a Temerian Tuesday, and as such, we're going to be covering the Way of the Witcher card reveals that are impacted by Northern Realms. There are a few more that came out since yesterday's video. Notably, Leo is one of those. 7 provisions, 4 power, and he's going to boost himself by 1 for every Witcher you control. I think he is going to be most impactful for Northern Realms. I think we also saw Armor Up as a good synergy with Leo here, but I think it's going to be better with Northern Realms, and I'm going to walk you through why. Additionally, we got some new monsters. We got Chimera and we got V. Both of these are pretty nasty. V is pretty awesome. You shuffle V back to your deck, then increase its base power by 3. That's what its Death Wish is. And that should just be an increase. So it should go to 11 points. It's not boosted, so it's just going to be an 11-point unit. Wham, bam, thank you, ma'am. And it does play as an insectoid, which synergizes well with Crochet and Eater. Chimera is a beast mutant, and we're going to cover this when we cover monsters tomorrow. But I just wanted to point out V, because I think people are going to be playing around that a little bit. Now, let's scroll down. Northern Realms. First and foremost, I got another Warfare card. Cool. Too bad all the other Warfare cards are mediocre outside of Amphibious Assault. Target Practice, you're going to boost an allied unit by 4. If there's a Witcher on the boosted units row, also spawn a Witcher student on that row. And for those of you who don't remember, this is a 2-point Witcher student. So this is really 6 points for 4, which I don't love. I kind of wish it would be more value, especially since all of that power is in a boost and in a doomed token unit. But we are where we are. I think you're going to see here, though, that there could be some good synergy with this card. But I'm waiting to see these other 4 cards because I think there's going to be more spawns. But first off, we got Griffin, Witcher, Adept. He's a 4-power, 4-provision unit, has shield on him, and then he has an order, transform an allied Witcher into a base copy of Griffin, Witcher, Adept. So that way you're just going to get more of the same named unit. Witcher students are going to be the obvious target here. So playing that Target Practice is going to get you Witcher Adepts. Notably, it has to be a Witcher that you're transforming. So it could also be one of the Witcher trio, Eskel, Lambert, and Vesemir. That's a possibility. They'd be decent targets for this as well. And when it gets transformed, remember the base card here has shield on it. So that's why the developers have been talking about using him with Ragnar. That could be a really good option for you to get that 3-point boost when he strips off the shield. I do think Damned Sorceresses have a little bit more synergy here where you're able to use those charges and use that targeted shield removal as you want it. Ragnar is just a little bit clunky to play. Especially if you aren't building the entire deck around him. Immortal Cavalry work a little bit better. But anyway, Griffin, Witcher, Adept. Good card. Griffin, Witcher, I think I like a little bit more. Northern Realms doesn't really need more order units, but it does need more order units that have a cooldown of 1, I think, to put it on parity with, I think first one that comes to mind is like Elven Swordmaster. There's also, a couple of cards in the other factions that do similar things. There hasn't been really one for Northern Realms that has a cooldown of 1 with a low provision cost. So I do think that this is welcome. So every turn he's going to damage the unit by 1 so long as he's on the melee row. Again, this looks really similar to Elven Swordmaster, but has an adrenaline kicker. At the end of your turn, damage a random enemy unit by 3 and lock self. So he's going to be able to ping this 1 damage until you play your 4th card, and then he's going to damage a random enemy unit by 3 and lock himself. So kind of cool that you just get that off the bat. He doesn't have Zeal, so he is going to be an engine that's going to sit there and tick. And the opponent can kind of decide how willing they are to deal with those 1-point damage ticks, and then just take care of him by the time he gets up to round. By the time you're playing your 4th card, because remember, Adrenaline is keyed off of what's left in your hand after that card that round has been played. So just keep that in mind. Carrying down Griffin, Witcher, Mentor is going to draw the top unit, then shuffle a card from your hand back to your deck. I really like this. It's kind of similar to like Dandelion Poet, but for way cheaper. But the helpful thing here is Adrenaline 4 boosts the unit you've drawn by 2. So if he is the 5th or less card that you've played, so the 5th card, 4th card, 3rd card, penultimate card, or final card, Griffin, Witcher, Mentor is going to boost that unit by 2 that you play. And again, draw the top unit, then shuffle a card from your hand back into your deck. So this works really like pincer maneuver. We might see pincer maneuver used with this. I think pincer maneuver could work really well with Erland, but we're going to get into that in a minute. Something I think just to pay attention to here, Northern Realms doesn't right now have a whole lot of deck manipulation, and Nilfgaard could really abuse this unit just because they're able to use stuff like Coated Weapons or other similar cards, Viper to get rid of stuff in the graveyard, but other cards to manipulate whatever's on top of the Northern Realms deck, and you really don't want to draw the wrong thing. Especially don't want to draw like some 2 provision or 2 power tokens or something like that the opponent has kindly put back using Coated Weapons. So just something to keep in mind. Moving on, I think Gwent has a really cool ability here. He was one of the very first cards announced. He has Zeal Order, so you can use it right away. Boost all other units with equal power to Gwent's power by the amount Gwent is boosted. And remember, this was an order, so you could use this at any time. I think people here are thinking a lot about. He's kind of like a reverse Shiru, right? So, but I think I would target him in like a Visigoda deck, which is why I think Pincer Maneuver would work well with these guys. Just slap on Visigoda, Dandelion, and Donimir, and you got some huge power plays going on. But then you're getting this Gwent out here. You boost him up with Visigoda to 5, and then all other units that are 5s on the board, think like Temerian Blue Stripes all boosted by 1 by Voimir as an example. Griffin, Witcher, and Depths all boosted to 5 using Voimir. Targets that have been pre-boosted by Griffin, Witcher, Mentor. So here you're seeing, again, all of those boosts coming. Normally, Griffin Witcher does not attack any unit, it's just enemy units. So it's just something to keep in mind that you can't like use him to drive down the value of a unit. But anyway, if all of those other units are at 5 and Gwent is boosted to 5, he is going to boost all those 5 units by 2, because it's the delta between his current boost and his original value, which is 3. So he would be boosting them by 5 minus 3 equals 2. Do your maths. And that's pretty cool. That's pretty awesome. If you can get a bunch of cards out, use Visigoda to kind of like get those exactly where you want them, and then boost them all. Obviously, you'll need to play around Igni. One card I think that Northern Realms Devotion isn't as necessary as other factions. People play it more, but Carrick Marines, Viraxis, they're good, but they're not phenomenal. So I'm thinking Geralt Gwent is going to work really well with Northern Realms. You get to pick that Witcher, you get to play it from your deck, and you get to give it a shield if Geralt Gwent is the 4th or less card that you've played. So you could go Geralt Gwent, for example, onto Griffin Witcher Mentor, give Griffin Witcher Mentor a shield, and then you play the next card that's on top of your deck, boost it by 2, and right there you're already looking at some really good value. 2 plus 5 plus 2, and then whatever that next card is. So, as long as it's getting you like 3 points of value, Gwent is paid for itself. Plus, you're getting out Gwent and Griffin Witcher Mentor out with shields. So Ragnar looks really good in that setup. So I'm thinking Ragnar with Gwent will be a really cool deck. But rounding this out is Erland of Larvik. And there's a lot of strategizing that's going on behind him. Waiting to see these remaining 4 cards to see exactly how he's going to fit in here. So, walking you through exactly what his card does. On deploy, he boosts all units in your deck by 1. Okay, so think of this as like reverse Invigorate. Invigorate is the leader ability by Scoia'tael. Boost all units in your hand by 1. Erland is going to do that, but he's going to do it for all units in deck. Notably, if you're thinking about this, if you played him straight up, first card played, round 1, we'll get to his adrenaline in a minute. Don't worry. But as long as you kind of keep this in mind, you're going to draw 3 cards for each of the next 2 rounds. So assuming you're playing over 3 rounds and you don't get 2-0'd, or you're not 2-0-ing, then you're going to draw 6 cards. Right now, if you play Oneiromancy, you're going to play that twice. That's 8 cards. You play Amphibious Assault, that's another 2 cards. That's 10 cards. All right, so he's already with that play equal to Invigorate. Dun Banner, that's an additional card that's being played out there because it's coming boosted. So you're up to 11. Now, I probably wouldn't play on Neuromancy, so I'd probably clip that out. Commandos is going to get you another one. That's going to be pre-boosted, right? Notably with Commandos, now this is where it gets a little weird because you don't want them to get heat waved, but you could use, theoretically, Blue Stripe Scouts to spawn all those extra versions in the deck, and then call them out after you've played Erland and he's boosted all of them, right? So you could get up, if you're playing with a Dahlia and with reinforcements, you can get up to 4 different spawns inside of your deck. You could also use Roach Merciless and leave the other 2 in there, and right there, just with those plays, you have 6 units that are already boosted with Erland that get called out all at once. Incredible value, okay? That's if you're just playing him as first card played. You're not even worrying about this adrenaline play, not worrying about his order, but the order is always there. And I know the card, it reads in kind of an interesting direction, so we're going to come to adrenaline last. So the order is always available. Just again, not thinking about the adrenaline. So if you've done that, you've pulled out all those units, those blue stripes, I think would be the play here, and maybe do this in like a round 2. So that way if you could win round 1 and then you have all this value round 2 that you're able to just like summon out of your deck, then Erland is going to remove boosts from the remaining cards in deck. And remember, Blue Stripe Scouts are spawning these extra copies. So you're still going to have a reasonable number of cards in deck. I think probably between 8 and 10, depending on how much tutoring you have, if you're using like Dun Banners, or whether or not you were playing a Blue Stripe up front versus with Roach Merciless. So just something to keep in mind. But those scouts, again, spawning the extra units, getting them boosted, then calling it out. And that order is going to then strip the boost off of the remaining cards. Boom, he goes up to 14 points. He's got you another 6 points on the board on those pre-boosted commandos. So just crazy, crazy value to keep building. Again, it is a Northern Realms card. You do have to do a lot of, finessing and prepping and getting it ready. You can't just jump into a match, drop down Erland, and go for crazy tempo. It is going to take a little bit of work. But you could use here Inspired Zeal to go ahead and use that ability right away just for crazy point slam. So I do think he is one of the best cards in the game that has been revealed. I think he will end up being one of the best Witchers. So keep your eye on him. I did promise we'd come back around to Adrenaline. So if he is the 4th or less card, remember 4th, 3rd, penultimate, 2nd, whatever you want to call it, or a final card played in a round, he's going to get immunity. So you can't boost him using your own stuff if he has immunity. Oddly, you can't purify immune units either. So if for some reason the opponent was able to get a lock, there's no card that really does that right now. But if there was a card that could like lock all units on a row, it wouldn't surprise me if they try to give some love to Nilfgaard and these empty cards that are still yet to appear. But it is possible that could happen. That would kind of wreck his day. But otherwise, you should still be able to trigger that order even if he has immunity. I think Synthesis is a good example of how you would be able to do that. Anyway, still 4 more cards to be revealed, but I think we're on a good track here. I think the School of the Cat and the School of the Griffin have some good parity in terms of value in cards, numbers of cards, and Gezras being really equal to Erland. They still have these 3 missing cards plus the one that is likely 4 or 5 provisions. So I think we're going to see some really good synergy in those factions. Now, we're going to cover monsters. Monsters are kind of the outlier. They're not getting any Witchers, but they're getting some crazy stuff and some awesome card art. Then we're going to cover Nilfgaard, who needs the love most. And they're getting some really wonky, interesting cards. But for me, the jury is still out on whether or not you could get these guys to work. Hopefully, they need it. And then Friday, we'll be covering Syndicate. Syndicate is really nuts. Super weird. Salamander was revealed today. It's not even showing up here, but it's pretty awesome. Lots of poison going on. Lots of poison. And a lot of self-poison as well, which is going to be interesting to see. And then finally, we will wrap up with Scoia'tael. I'm anticipating by the end of the week, we'll know all but maybe 1 or 2 cards I think they're going to want to go into this weekend with pretty much everything revealed and doing a final push for sales. But let me know what you guys think. If you like this video, please leave a like. If you like my content, please subscribe. It really helps. And until next time, I hope you guys all have a wonderful day on this beautiful Temerian Tuesday. Good luck on the path. Get out there and keep on Gwenting.